Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Terror Talks. We are here on episode 28 today, where we are going to be talking about Scarowinds and their full event announcement for the 2021 season. I'm your host, Jeremy, and as always, if you like what we do here on the show, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe down below to keep up on all our awesome content that we are releasing every single day. It seems like we're always releasing something, so you can always rest easy knowing that we will have something great for you. But we're going to jump right into the show today. We got some great stuff coming for you on episode 28. So, on August 25th, 2021, Cedar Parks and Carowinds announced the return of their annual Halloween event, Scarowinds. So obviously at the other Cedar Park parks, you have other events. They're not necessarily called Scarowinds, but this one's called Scarowinds because it takes place at Carowinds, which is located up in South Carolina and North Carolina. So this year, the event will be featuring 2 new haunted mazes and 1 new scare zone, as well as 7 returning scare zones from years past and 3 returning mazes as well. The event will also feature 2 ghoulish and creepy returning shows and 1 brand new show. Scarowinds will take place on select nights, September 17th through October 31st. It usually is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing every evening. And they usually have some really cool stuff going on during the day as well for all the little kiddies, particularly over in Camp Snoopy. I believe they do a big Halloween sort of happy, family-friendly kind of thing. But yeah, so that is Scarowinds for you guys. So let's just dive right into the specifics of the event. We're going to start off with the scare zones. So first up, returning from years past, we have Blood Yard. This is going to be located in the Thrill Zone area of the park. It's late, way too late to find yourself on the wrong side of town inside a junkyard. Lurking among the rusty metal scraps and greasy tires, you feel as if you're being watched. Hello? Is anyone there? No answer. All you hear is a dog barking in the distance. A bottomless pit grows inside your belly. You see a sign that's written in what looks like red paint. It reads, "Trespassers will be killed on sight." It's time to turn back now. You've gone far enough. As you turn around, you catch a glimpse of a shadow out of the corner of your eye. You try running, but your legs are too heavy to move, and you fall to the ground. As you stand up, you notice that you're surrounded by a very unfriendly group, but these aren't your average villains. These are vampires, and they look thirsty for blood. There's no sense in trying to escape. You're in the wrong place at the worst possible time. If only there were a way out. So this is Blood Yard. So this is a scare zone that has been at the park for as long as I can remember. Since I've been going to Scarowinds, I've seen it there, I believe, every single time. So yeah, that's always been a interesting one. I've always really kind of enjoyed this one because there was always so much cool stuff that they've done with it in years past in terms of like setting up the scene, if you will, because of the way they do things with it. So what I mean by that is this scare zone typically has how do I describe it? It has a lot of big shipping containers and things like that. And you can actually, so this isn't the exact same place that it normally is. You can see the map here. It's back there by the hurler and the drop tower and, of course, Fury 325. But anyways, as I was saying about the scenic value of this is usually it's got these big shipping containers, a lot of fences and things. You literally feel like you're in a rusty scrapyard. And so that allows for a lot of clanging on things, a lot of metal noises, the really loud stuff that can catch you off guard. And usually, and they might do this with a couple of the scare zones. My memory is trying to remember because it's been a minute since we've been out there. But usually what they do is they have, in a couple scare zones, this one in particular, almost like a little mini kind of walkthrough thing. And it's sort of off to the side. And it's really more of an extension to the scare zone, but it almost feels like you're walking through a mini haunted house, sort of. So that's kind of a neat little thing that they have. And this is always a really fun scare zone. I think this is one I normally get scared in because they will run right up to you and they've got those weird looking contacts in their eyes. And you got the sliders with the claws on their hands and stuff. So this is always a really fun one. They have a lot of fun in this one. You can tell the actors that are there really enjoy it. Up next, we have another returning scare zone, Karn Evil. This is located in the crossroads. So let's see. I think it's exactly where I think it is. So it's back there in the, not really the back area of the park, but it's over by Afterburn and Plants vs. Zombies. So this is the circus kind of area of the park back there in the back. And this is always a neat one. So not all carnival clowns are happy and want to make you laugh. Some clowns want nothing more than to make you cry and scream and run for cover. Our clowns were cheerful in a former life, but something snapped. The bright face paint, big red nose, kooky wigs, and colorful clothes cleverly disguise the wicked nature of these mischief makers and their deep, dark secrets. If you get intertwined with these menacing jesters, just act like you love their corny acts and maniacal laughs. It's safest for everyone that way. Trust us that at this scare zone, there's no clowning around, just pure fear. So this is like I said, this is a returning scare zone. We've seen this one at every event we've been to at Scarowinds. And this is always a fun kind of little goof around, interesting one. You see a lot of sideshow type freaks in here. So you get the gorilla man, I think it is. There's like a gorilla man, a bearded lady. Basically it's like you're going to the freak show. And so this is always a cool one. I think not last year, because last year they didn't have the event, but the year prior to that, we went out there and they actually had like a sort of mini walkthrough attraction outside, or in that scare zone. It's almost like just a mini haunted house. It had a couple little scares in there, but it was sort of like a precursor to another attraction that was there. So it was kind of a way to, I guess, kind of eat the crowds a little bit, and it did that very well. And so that was a very interesting scare zone. It always is. A lot of fun. Like I said, a lot of clowns and circus freaks in that one. Up next, we have Dead Man's Landing, another returning one. This is located in the county fair, so this is right over by what used to be the Carolina Cobra. Now it is I think it's called the Flying Cobra, I believe. Another landmarker is it is the entrance to the water park area, so it's right outside there. So Dead Man's Landing. Take a stroll through a bustling town full of seafarers, merchants, and scrappy ruffians that rival the ports once visited by Blackbeard himself. It may look innocent on the surface, but inexplicable terror lies beneath, where lost treasures and the song of the siren have put even the strongest, sturdiest pirates in a watery grave. Legend has it that these lost souls are looking to add to their bloodless, cadaverous pirate crew. So, y'all may have heard me talk on another episode earlier. It was the SeaWorld Hallow Scream episode where we kind of discussed their whole event. I talked about there's a pirate scare zone that we've seen that one kind of done a lot. And this was actually the event I was talking about. Is Scarowinds. They've had this pirate scare zone for many years, as long as I can remember. And it's always a fun one to go through, too, because you get some really neat stuff in there. One of the things they do is they have a cannon that literally will just explode at random points, and it always scares the crap out of people. It's so much fun to just go through there, and you'll hear the big boom, and sometimes it gets us too, but it's a great little scare zone. It's always real cool. Makeup's not great, but I mean, you're pirates. I mean, what more can you ask for? Up next, we have Gravewalkers. So this is located at the Carolina Boardwalk. For those of you looking at the map here, that is over kind of where the roller coaster Ricochet is, and it is also near the Carolina Cyclone, I think is what that is, yeah. And then the Carolina Gold Rush as well, so it's over in that area of the park. Some guests never want to leave Carowinds. We totally understand. But some stay for a lifetime and beyond. When nighttime falls, these gory guests, smelling of the rotting flesh that they're clothed in, ramble throughout the park on a mission for nourishment. You. Want some advice? Try your best to give these zombies the slip, lest you become their next meal. So again, this is another returning one, and it's a graveyard one. There's not a whole lot to it, not a lot of interesting stuff with it. We can't say much. In fact, this is one that it's not that impressive. But what I will say is it does offer a lot of good scare advantages. There's a lot of like crypts that the actors will hide in, and those serve as their boo holes, if you will. And that's always a really great thing to jump out of there and scare people. And I think there's one that it almost looks like he's an animatronic, but he ends up being real every time. It's awesome. It always gets people. It's so much fun. So up next we have a new scare zone for the 2021 season. It is called Raven's Nest, and this one is going to be located also at the crossroads, kind of near Afterburn. Of course, I think I'm looking at this. Yeah, I'm looking at the map, right? So it's literally right near Afterburn, kind of where the dinosaur encounter was, is what it looks like here on the map. So it's just past the other scare zone, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is Outlaws Revenge, but it's just past that, and that has Boo Blasters on Boo Hill, and this one has Afterburn, and like I said, it looks like it's right around where the dinosaur attraction was out there. You see a raven, or as poet Edgar Allan Poe described in The Raven, a grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore. Not just one ominous bird, but an entire conspiracy of ravens. The foul, with jet-black feathers and fiery eyes that burn into your core, seek to taunt you, to haunt you. Round and round they go in this wicked scare zone, encircling you and screeching in high pitches that are sure to make the dead. Do these feathered friends wish for you to return their grisly garden? Quoth the ravens, nevermore. So we're getting a, I guess it's kind of an Edgar Allan Poe scare zone. I'm not really sure that's what it's necessarily intended to be, but I'm definitely excited because they do reference Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Raven, and so that makes me really happy. Just looking at the imagery that we're getting, it almost looks like one of the doctors from like the plague. It's got the weird like bird mask kind of thing, so that's a real creepy thing we're getting with that, and that's always fun. I love it. So I think that'll be a really cool kind of scare zone we're gonna get. I'm excited to see what they do with that and just see, what will happen there. Up next we have Outlaws Revenge, and this is located at the Crossroads Gazebo. So this is right in front of Boo Blasters on Boo Hill, and this is again another returning scare zone. I think we've seen this one at many, many events. I don't think this one's ever changed at any of the times we've been there, so that's always fun. Card games in Wild West saloons rarely end peacefully, particularly when the players were surely scoundrels and rotten outlaws. Somebody cheated, and somebody's gonna pay. Let's just hope that body isn't yours. With double-crossers and reckless bandits sliding in around you from all sides and looking for revenge, your best bet is to vamoose as soon as possible. So this is a scare zone that, I kind of love because you don't see it too often at a lot of the theme parks I've been to. You don't really see cowboy, Old West scare zones. So I love that we're actually getting that with this event. And yes, it is a returning scare zone. Yes, we've seen it 1,000 times at this point, but it's still really cool. And, you get to see all the outlaws walking around with their cowboy holsters and things like that. And so it's a really neat sort of scare zone that we're getting. So I'm all for it. I think that's really cool. I wish more parks would kind of adopt the whole Wild West theme because there's so much you can do with it, I think. I think Wild West, horror stuff could be really neat. Up next we have Ripper Alley. This one is also returning, and this is going to be located on the Nighthawk Pathway. So I think this one, if I'm looking at the map here, it appears that it's in a different place than where it normally is, because normally it's right out in front of the Intimidator. So it looks like they moved it to more up in that little nook at the Nighthawk exit, so that's kind of interesting. There's an old English tale that says ghosts only appear in places that have known either great misery or great happiness. In Ripper Alley these days, it's more of the latter. In this part of London, that prosperity forgot, evil spirits of tortured souls hover in the air like the city's thick fog. Fear of demons, death, and destruction consume the minds of those still living, if you can call it that. The morphed, crazy residents seem to come after normal humans like you, so try not to get near or even look at them. If curiosity killed the cat, you'd surely find yourself at the bottom of the Thames River. So again, this is a returning Scarezone. This is always a fun one for me. I kind of love this one because it's just such a well done Scarezone in terms of design and such, and it almost has this like steampunk vibe, and I think that's such a cool thing to have because the steampunk thing is really neat, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Lilo commenting on that. She agrees with the steampunk thing. She likes it, so there you go. We've been wondering when we'd get some animals on the show. But yeah, so that's Ripper Alley. I think that'll be a cool one. It always is. I always enjoy going through there and seeing everyone in the Victorian era costumes and stuff. So that's pretty awesome. Finally, we have returning once again, The Hollow. This is located in Carousel Park. And if I'm looking at the map correctly, yep, it is right out in front of the Vortex at Carowinds. So this is in the same place it's always been. And this is another one of those fun scare zones that I love going through. When most people think of pumpkins, they recall memories of cheery, plump orange orbs placed on front porches. They think of gathering around with family and carving their pumpkin into a silly jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. This is not the case with our pumpkins at Scarowinds. Not cheery, not silly. These gory gourds are sick and tired of their fellow pumpkins being carved, gutted, and morphed into creatures that look nothing like they once did. In a wretched twist, these pumpkins seek to carve, gut, and dismember anyone or anything who crosses their path. These bloody, wicked squash want nothing more than to squash you into their own version of a pumpkin pie. So The Hollow, this is again, like I said, this is a returning one. We've seen this one at all of the Scarowinds events so far that we've been to. We've seen it. It's always a fun one to get to check out. I love it because I always think pumpkins, there's something just so eerie about them because we associate Halloween with pumpkins, but then you can create this evil with pumpkins. So that's kind of a neat thing that, you know, we as, I guess, humans have done with Halloween is we've made pumpkins into this evil thing, but at the same time it's still a cheery thing, so that's kind of neat. But I always love going through this scare zone and just seeing some of the things they've done. I think, if my memory serves correctly, there was this like giant pumpkin creature that came out of like a little thing, and he was in this scare zone, so that was really neat. But I'm definitely excited to see what they do, how they change it up from years past. You know, I think it'll be really cool. But those are our scare zones for Scarowinds 2021. We have The Hollow, Ripper Alley, Outlaws Revenge, new for 2021, The Raven's Nest, Gravewalkers, Dead Man's Landing, Karn Evil, and finally, The Blood Yard. So be sure to go out there and check out those awesome scare zones. Take a lot of pictures, you know, tag us, tag the Terror Talks on all your pictures that you take, tag Scarowinds and Carowinds. You know, do it. Spread the word about it. This is always a fun event. We love getting to make it down there. So up next, we're going to talk about the shows for the 2021 season. We're going to start off with the new show that they are getting. This is called Heartbeats. So this is going to be located in the Blood Yard. So this is actually happening inside of a scare zone. And I feel like they've done this before, so I'm not sure why they're advertising it as new. But I think maybe because before it was more one of those spontaneous kind of things that just happened randomly. And I think now it's actually a planned thing maybe. I'm not sure. But they're calling it an all-new Halloween show. Maybe this is old advertisement. But we're going to run with the what they're saying. It's a new show. The Naughty comes out at night at Heartbeats, Scarowinds' all-new Halloween show. Hearts pound and bodies pulse when dancers return from the dead and overtake the street in a raucous party. Our possessed performers are singularly focused on satisfying their innermost desires, those that balance the fine line between pleasure and pain. The DJ is at their mercy, pumping out the hottest beats to keep them appeased. A bit steamy and a bit risque, Halloween entertainment has never been quite like this. The showtimes for this are going to be 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30. So Heartbeats. So this sounds interesting. It definitely sounds like it's going to have a bit of an edge, more mature kind of theme, it seems like. Maybe, I'm not sure. Which is interesting. It seems like a lot of the theme parks out there are starting to make their Halloween events a little more adult, because I feel like in a way that's kind of what a lot of these Halloween events were trying to do, is they were trying to make these ones more for the adults. You know, the kids get their little family-friendly thing during the day, so the Halloween event at night is more to give the adults some fun, let them have a good time. So I think that's kind of the angle they're going with this show, and you know, they're very clever to say that it's got some steamy qualities and some risque qualities, and you know, they mention the Naughty comes out at night, so that's kind of interesting too. So I'm very curious to see what this is going to be. I think it's something we're definitely going to have to take a look at and check it out. I wonder if it's going to be anything like what it was before. What it was before was, it was almost kind of like a stomp thing. It was very similar to Beat Builders at Universal Studios, very similar to Stomp, that kind of show, you know, using trash cans and things like that to make some beats. So I wonder if this is going to kind of go down that same route or not, or if we're going to get something totally different. So I'm very curious to see what we get with that. That's Heartbeats. Up next, we have the Queen's Ball. This is going to be located on the Plaza stage. So this is right up at the front of the park. So when you enter the park, you're coming through the front gates and you're going straight down the center. It's the first stage you're going to come to. You are cordially invited to the Queen's Ball, a decadent affair everyone is dying to attend. Equal parts beauty and brute, this larger-than-life matriarch leads a life of decadence and debauchery, treachery, and torture. Her current desire is to ensure there is no confusion about who is boss. How to do it? An extravagant event, of course, with her duke serving as master of ceremonies and her duchess attending as Queen Scleratus' right hand. Her royal majesty throws a Halloween show like no other. The royal court of talented dancers, mesmerizing acrobats, and sideshow acts entertain and delight all who watch. But as guests enjoy the ball's entertainment, something strange happens to them. A hypnotic trance takes hold, and they give in to her every wish. Be strong and withstand her power, lest you fall into her evil grip too. So these showtimes are going to be 8:30 p.m., 10 p.m., and 11:15 p.m. Very curious what we're going to get with this show. It definitely sounds like we're going to get some acrobatics, you know, a lot of flipping up and down and stuff. So usually there's a skeleton crew, I think is what normally does something here, I think is what we called them. And they're always really cool to watch. They do some like insane stuff out there. So that's always a really cool show to see. So I'm curious to see how they're going to go down this slightly different route with it. I'm curious to see what we're getting. And, you know, they're not necessarily labeling this as a new show, but I think this is considered a new show as well. So that's kind of interesting. I'm curious to see what we're going to get with it and see what they do. So we'll find out. Finally, we have Ghouling Pianos, and this is located at the Harmony Hall patio. For those of you who don't know where Harmony Hall is, that's right over just before you enter Snoopy's campground. Camp Snoopy, I believe is what it's called. So it's over in that kids area of the park just before you go in there. Enjoy a tasty spirit with our musical spirits. When you need to take a break during Scarowinds, rest your weary bones with the sublime Ghouling Pianos in the Fear Garden, the undead's version of a beer garden. Sip a delicious brew with your favorite goblin and sit back to enjoy our duo of dueling piano players from the underworld, performing favorite Halloween tunes and your requests. Our Ghouling Ghouls are a monster mashup of quick wit, sass, and fun. Showtimes are going to be 7:30 p.m., 9:15 p.m., and 11 p.m. So, Ghouling Pianos. This is an interesting one. I've never gotten to see it, which is a bit of a travesty because I am a piano player. So I'm not really sure why I've never gone and watched this one before, because I feel like I'd really enjoy it. I'm curious to see what exactly they're going to be playing on the pianos. I guess maybe they're going to throw in, like it says, your favorite Halloween tune, so I guess maybe we're going to hear the Monster Mash, Ghostbusters, that type of thing. Maybe we'll get some like actual horror movie themes in there, perhaps. I don't know, Just spitballing here. I've never seen the show before. But I'm definitely curious as to what we're going to get with that. I feel like that'd be a really fun one to go sit down and actually watch a little bit of. So maybe this year we'll try to go. I'm going by myself, so I don't have to worry about anybody else going with me and saying, no, I don't want to do that. So that'll be fun. So those are our 3 shows: Ghouling Pianos, The Queen's Ball, and Heartbeats. All right, so that has brought us to the end of the first half of the show, so we are going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, but we will be right back to discuss all of the houses for Scarowinds' event. Don't go anywhere. Hey there, Terror Talk fans. Are you looking for a new way to let your voice be heard? If so, check out our friends at Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for creating your very own podcast. They offer editing tools to create your podcast, which include your audio, listener audio, unique transitions, and custom advertisements. In addition, they'll also help you distribute your podcast to other listener sources, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many others. With this unique app, you also have the chance to get paid for your podcast by simply placing ads for various sponsors in your videos. Best part of it all? It is 100% free. Anchor does all the work for you and makes podcasting as simple as turning on a light. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Whether you're new to podcasting, doing it as a hobby, or hosting a professional show, Anchor is the place for you. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on episode 28 of the Terror Talks. Today we are talking about Carowinds' Halloween event, Scarowinds, that is going to be taking place from September 17th through October 31st on select evenings. These are going to be on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. You'll have to check the full event calendar to look for any other dates. Before the break, we discussed the various Scarezones and shows that would be appearing at the 2021 event. Now we're going to dive right into the houses that we're going to be seeing for this event. So this year we will be seeing the return of 3 houses from years past and the addition of 2 all-new mazes. So this should be fun, guys. Let's dive right in. First up, we have Depths of Darkness. This is going to be located at the Celebration Plaza near Harmony Hall. So it really isn't necessarily located there. In fact, if you look at the map, it's actually kind of behind that. So that's kind of false advertising, but not really. For your sake, we hope you're not afraid of the dark. We hope you have a good sense of direction. We also hope you don't mind that there's a serial killer on the loose. Here, inside Scarowinds. Quick, duck into our room for cover. It's closed and confined, hopefully safe, but you get a vibe that something's just not right. The area is nothing but pitch black darkness, so you're both sightless and powerless. The air feels thick. As time passes and you feel your way around, your sixth sense kicks in, and you just know that someone or something is in the room with you. Who is it? What is it? Why does it feel like the walls are closing in? Where's the door to this place? How can I get out of here? Enter this haunted maze if you're brave enough, daring enough, and maybe reckless enough. So, Depths of Darkness. This is always a favorite for me because I always have loved the concept of it. because they basically are saying that you are going inside of a serial killer's mind. Now, what's interesting is it doesn't appear that they're saying that with this description. This one sounds like they've changed it up a little bit, but we will see when we get there. But in the past, you've gone inside the serial killer's mind and seen where he's gone and things. And this has always been such a cool house in terms of special effects and whatnot, because you can tell they've put a lot of work into this one typically. I remember this was a house that you literally walked into the scene of a house in the middle of this building. And this is not necessarily a huge warehouse building that this one's in, but it's not a small one either. So that's kind of interesting that we are getting this house that way, and the way they do things are so cool in there. One of my favorite effects in a haunted house is the laser effect with the fog, so it looks like hands are coming out of like swamp water, and they've done that in this one before, and so I love that effect, and I'm glad that this house is coming back. I'm very curious to see how it's going to be done this year, if anything's going to be different. This was actually the first time we went to Scarowinds. This was a brand new house that year that we went there, so very, very excited about that. Up next, we have returning for the 2021 season, Silver Scream Studios Condemned. So this house is going to be located in the thrill zone of the park, and that's going to be right behind Fury 325 as well as the Hurler. So this is in a little soundstage kind of building they have back there. Always another cool one. You and some friends decided to check out a creepy old building you found on the internet. The rumors say that the failed horror movie director Von Hellsberg tried to make a memorable film by actually killing the actors. It's been 20 years since this one infamous studio was filled with screams of victims. Now abandoned and crumbling, the halls still echo with screams of torment. Grab a flashlight and take this last chance to explore the madness. Be cautious as you walk through the remains of the studio's structurally unsound buildings can lead to injury or even death. So this is another one that, like we said, we've been through it before, and it's kind of interesting because they did some cool stuff with it. The first time we went through it, it was literally only called Silver Scream Studios, and that was it. Well, then I think the next year we went to the event after having attended the first one with that. We went another year and they added this condemned part to the name, and what that entailed was basically you went through pretty much a pitch black haunted house, and that was a very scary thing considering there were rooms with spiders in them, and I don't like spiders. So when they added that element with the condemned part of it, that was a really neat touch they did to that. So I was really for it, and I think you literally got led by the guy at the front of your group. He had a glow stick, and that was it. That was your only directional tool. So that's always a fun one to do. Usually is one that gets a lot of people in line for it. Actually, all these houses tend to have some pretty long lines, but this one's got a pretty long line too, especially given how dark it is in there, so you can't ever see anything. So that's fun, but it's a good house. I love that house. Finally, returning for 2021 is Slaughterhouse, the final cut. So this one is located at the Carolina Boardwalk. So this is if you keep going up the street just a little bit from where Silver Scream Studios is, you'll come to this one. It's up behind the Carolina Cyclone. You can't miss it. There's a giant sign. Yeah, easy to find. We just don't understand the vegetarian craze. People say it's healthy, but backyard burgers are so tasty. Hot dogs on the grill are heavenly. Everyone knows life isn't complete without bacon. What makes some meat so tasty? Is it the seasoning? The prime cuts? Come to our slaughterhouse to get a hog's eye view of where your delicious protein comes from. We offer delicious fresh samples, free. Don't mind the bloody walls, bloody butchers, bloody knives, bloody everything. Step around the carcasses and maimed creatures. Try to ignore the grinding sounds and blood-curdling screams. It's all part of how the magic happens in commercial meat production. On the tour, you'll discover what we add that makes our meat the most flavorful around, or more accurately, who we add. Mind your manners on our Haunted Maze tour, or you'll be our next added ingredient. So this is always a fun one. Slaughterhouse, the final cut. This has been there every year we've gone. I think this one is just, it's there to stay. I don't think this one will ever go anywhere. Just because everything about it is already just kind of put in place. So there's no way you can really change it. But it's a cool house. You know, it's the typical Slaughterhouse theme. I mean, that's what you get. I will say that I always love going through it, though, because there's so much scenery in there to see. Like, they really did a good job with a lot of the scenic stuff in there, the scenic work. I'll never forget one year we went through there, and there was an actor there. So we were behind this group of people. It was me and my brother, and we're in a group, and so we're towards the back of the group. And the people in front of us did not know where they were going, and so they're trying to go one way. And the actor is straight up telling them, no, go the other way. And they're still not listening. They're trying to go the other way, and they did this like 3 times. Finally, the actor just screams at them like, are you deaf or are you stupid? Go that way. So thank God he finally said that, because I don't think we were ever going to leave that room, because they just kept trying to go the same way, and nothing was happening. So it was a good thing he piped up and said something to them. Otherwise, we'd probably still be in that house today. But yeah, so Slaughterhouse is always a fun one. This is the one where you know you're getting your chainsaw in there. In fact, I think that might be the only one with a chainsaw. There might be one other one that's got a chainsaw in there, but this one for sure, you can almost guarantee that there will be a chainsaw at the end. And there might be one somewhere throughout the middle of it as well. So, always a fun one. So if you're a chainsaw fear person, you don't like chainsaws, don't go to this house. So now we have our 2 new haunts for the 2021 season. First up is The Reaping. Not a very original name, I'm not going to lie. Universal Studios Orlando did a haunted house called Scarecrow the Reaping a few years back. So I'm just saying The Reaping is not the most original name. So we're not off to a great start, not going to lie. But The Reaping, this is going to be located in Celebration Plaza. So what's awesome about this is I was expecting us to get our usual maze that happens out back behind Plants vs. Zombies, which is this kind of country hillbilly maze with corn stalks and things like that. Well, interestingly enough, we are not getting that this year. In fact, we're getting this one now, and it's actually happening in an all-new place. Thank you for putting that point in there, Leela. Thank you. Appreciate it. So this one is actually going to be literally as soon as you walk in the park, and it's happening over by the old Thunder River, or not Thunder River, but the old river raft ride at Six Flags near where we are. We have one called Thunder River, but it's the river raft ride. That's where they're doing this haunt, it appears. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to do that. I'm wondering if they cleared out the water maybe on the raft ride and we're walking through there now, perhaps. I don't know. I'm curious. It's been a long time since we've been out there. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to do it. But, yeah, we'll find out. So here we go. The Reaping. In a normal world, scarecrows protect treasured corn crops from murders of crows. If you didn't know, a group of crows is called a murder. But in our world, scarecrows prefer to preside over a different kind of murder. In this corn maze, no one is safe when scarecrows and looming towers of corn close in all around you. No one gives you a kernel of truth as to how to escape. Ears are everywhere, but all are deaf to your screams for help. As you race through this haunted maze straight from the underworld, you never know what you will encounter. Will you find husks of corn or the husks of adventurers who came before you? What's around the next corner? In a place where you're continuously stalked. You'll be amazed just to get out of this tangle of death. So The Reaping. So it seems like they're still rolling with this whole corn maze sort of idea, very similar to what they had on the other side of the park. But I'm hoping that, they're not just going to reuse anything from the other haunt. I'm hoping we're going to get something a little different here. Very curious to see what exactly they're going to do with it. Definitely hope that, like I said, I hope they're going to do some new things and throw in some original kind of decor and new sets, that sort of thing. Very curious to see how they're going to do the layout of this haunt, just because of where it is. That's going to be very interesting to see. So finally, we have new for 2021, the Tooth Fairy. So this one is going to be located back on the Nighthawk pathway, is what they're saying again. Judging by the picture on the map here, it looks like it's just taking the place of the asylum sort of haunt, the hospital one we've gotten every year in the past. So I think they're probably just reusing that same building, probably the same facade and everything. Do you believe in the Tooth Fairy? You better, or you might be the next donor to her vast collection of human teeth and various other body parts. Our Tooth Fairy seeks out parents who don't believe in her. Is this you? Poor fool. Prepare to be snatched from your warm, cozy bed and dragged to her underworld clinic. Trapped with blood-stained walls, all you can hear are whirring drills and ear-piercing screams. The Tooth Fairy's dental assistants, gassers, extractors, grinders, and taxidermists grab their crusty, rusty tools and come at you, hungry to begin your treatment. Will you find your way out of this haunted maze, or will you suffer the fate of non-believers who came before you? If only you had believed in the Tooth Fairy. So, Tooth Fairy, huh? Sounds like they're stealing another thing from Universal Studios. Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm just reading too much into this, but definitely is an odd coincidence. So, what do we think of this one? Honestly, just kind of seems like a typical medical sort of house. I love the originality of the Tooth Fairy idea, so that you don't see too many dentistry houses, I guess. But I don't know. I think they're probably going to reuse a lot of the same stuff we've seen in that same building every other year. The facade's probably still going to be the same. So, I mean, I'm not overly excited about this one. This is never one that I get overly excited about. But, you know, I guess we could end up coming out surprised. It could be one of the best houses of the year. Who knows? Unfortunately, only time will tell. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see what happens. We can confirm that we are going to be there for opening night on September 17th. So we will be there. Hopefully, if you see us, feel free to wave, say hello. We would love to see you guys. But those are the houses for Scarowinds' 2021 event. We have Depths of Darkness, Silver Scream Studios Condemned, Slaughterhouse, The Final Cut. And then new for 2021, The Reaping. And also new for 2021, The Tooth Fairy. So that is going to do it for us today, guys, on episode 28, talking about all the awesome stuff that we're getting for Scarowinds this year, 2021. We've got a great event planned out for you guys. It looks like it's going to be awesome. Scarowinds is going to take place on select nights from September 17th and ending on October 31st. I've noticed this has been a trend with a lot of the haunted attractions this year, particularly with the theme parks. It seems like they're all ending on October 31st this year. And I know what some of you are probably saying as I say those words. Oh, well, yeah, that's Halloween, so last night you would do it. But a lot of the haunted houses, like standalone haunted attractions, will typically go for at least another weekend or two into November. And so I think I expected that amongst these other Halloween events, but it does not appear we're getting that this year, so who knows. So that is going to do it for us, though. Scarowinds 2021. The Scarezones are going to be Bloodyard, Karn Evil, Dead Man's Landing, Gravewalkers. New for 2021, Raven's Nest, Outlaws Revenge, Ripper Alley, and The Hollow. Then, of course, we have our 3 shows, Heartbeats, The Queen's Ball, and Ghouling Pianos. And then, of course, we have those awesome houses that we just heard about: Depths of Darkness, Silver Scream Studios Condemned, Slaughterhouse The Final Cut, The Reaping, and The Tooth Fairy. So that is going to do it for us today, guys, on episode 28 of the Terror Talks. My name has been Jeremy. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you liked what we do, be sure to go down below and rate, comment, subscribe. You can also follow us on all of our social medias. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Just look up the Terror Talks, and there we are. You can also go follow us on all our listening platforms. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, as well as a host of other ones, all listed in the description below. If you want to give us a little bit of extra support, feel free to go check out our Patreon and subscribe to that. If you sign up today, you can get some exclusive offers such as early access to videos, bonus content, and even merch. You can also go check out our website, theterrortalks.wordpress.com, where we are always posting all of our content. All of our episodes are on there, as well as you can sign up for our mailing list on there to receive special information, giveaways, all that fun stuff, just to keep up with us and everything that we do here at the Terror Talks. If you're looking for some other content to listen to, go check out our friends over at the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. They are covering all things Universal Studios Orlando and just Universal in general. And if you like them and you're looking for something a little more scary, go check out the Rush of Fear podcast. That is their sister podcast, and they're covering all things Halloween Horror Nights, particularly Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, but they have a vast variety of topics, especially with the history of Halloween Horror Nights, speculation maps, announcements, all that fun stuff. These guys are great. They are up to date on all of their stuff. Then if you want to check out our friends over on the West Coast, we've got some friends at the Theme Park Duo podcast. Go check them out. They are covering all things Universal Studios Hollywood, Six Flags, Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, and all of the Halloween events that go in tandem with that. So Knott's Scary Farm, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, Universal Studios Hollywood's Halloween Horror Night event, and Fright Fest. Finally, go check out our friends over at Tales from the Crypt. They are covering all things paranormal, supernatural, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, and just downright creepy. You don't want to miss them. Finally, we want to thank you guys so much for being such awesome, fantastic, loyal listeners. We could not do the show without you, and you truly are what makes this podcast what it is. We could not do it without you. You being here every episode really allows us to just keep going and keep putting out some great content, and we do it all for you guys. So thank you so much for joining us on this journey, and we hope that you'll stick with us because we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. This has been episode 28 of the Terror Talks. I'm your host, Jeremy, and until next time, be safe out there, don't text and drive, and be excellent to each other. Take care, guys.